Hello. Welcome to MCDHH's Coffee Chat with Ope. This is a mini-series that we're doing. Here with us today we have a wonderful guest. But before I go ahead and get started, I would like for her to introduce herself so that community members may know who she is.
Hi, my name is Abigail Anderson, and I am the Executive Director of the American Red Cross of Central Missouri.
It's wonderful having you here with us, Abigail. Thank you for
you.
joining us for this conversation. So I was curious, the Red Cross, there are a lot of wonderful things being done out in the community and all over the world, especially when it comes to natural disasters. Would you mind sharing with us how your experience has been so far in this work?
So the American Red Cross strives to be very inclusive as best we can. We do have a ways to go and lots to learn. But just recently in the May tornado here in Central Missouri, we discovered new ways that we can cater to the deaf and hard of hearing community within our shelters, but then also recognizing the immense need in the population of the deaf and hard of hearing community here in Missouri was something new to me, and I definitely recognize the need for better preparedness efforts when it does come to natural disasters. And so this is kind of a first step towards better catering towards the deaf and hard of hearing community to ensure that they are protected against our number one disaster in the nation, which is home fires.
Great, thank you. We do appreciate your services as well as how that impacts the community. We don't realize that there may be some specific groups that are more vulnerable than others. And so that really leads to more and more resources, those things that are recognized. And so we do thank you for recognizing that need and making the effort to help us in covering that.
Absolutely.
Also, our community members may think that the government can do everything for them. Sometimes the government doesn't have answers to everything. So the great thing about the Red Cross is that they're in the position of providing assistance independently. So if you wouldn't mind sharing something that you may think may benefit the deaf and hard of hearing community, such as tools, resources, anything you know of that the deaf and hard of hearing community may be interested in, maybe applying for.
So traditional preparedness efforts are catered towards the hearing population. So we do have to be a little bit more vigilant about how we're talking about disaster preparedness. So when it comes to home fires, for instance, the traditional smoke alarm looks a lot like this, right? So it's emitting a sound that's alerting you to a home fire or to smoke damage in your home. But for the deaf and hard of hearing community, of course, being able to hear such a high frequency is a challenge. And so we work with different companies to provide not only the traditional smoke alarms for others in the home, but it also works directly with bed shaker alarms. So they look a lot like this, and quite literally they listen to the sound frequency coming from a traditional alarm. So you can have these in various places of the home, and this ideally would go in the bedroom. So it would be able to hear the sound emitted from all over the home, and it will flash fire at you, but it'll also emit a very low frequency tone to alert for anybody that's hard of hearing but can still hear. And then if you're sleeping right, you want to be able to wake up to this even if you can't see it. So that's where the bed shaker piece comes into handy. So this actually slips underneath the mattress and will vibrate to wake you up. So this is one of the ways that the American Red Cross is working right, to incorporate preparedness in the homes of the deaf and hard of hearing. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Many community members may not realize that these types of resources are available. If there's an application process, would you mind sharing with us what that process looks like, how we can get a hold of these? Also, is this charged or is it free? You know, can you speak to that a little bit?
Right. So currently with the Red Cross, I would urge you to go to the website, getaSmokealarm.org. And I believe we're going to show that website here at the end of this vlog. And so you would fill out an application to receive a smoke alarm installation. Red Cross has trained volunteers that would then come to your home at a scheduled time. And if you need an interpreter, you know, we can work with you to get that set up. And also would love to work with you, Ope, on helping to facilitate some of that as well.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in on that if I could. Whenever a representative is coming out, MCDHH is willing to provide an interpreter to go out with them for a home installation, you know, pending availability.
Right.
We will try to figure out schedules. So if there's anybody out there that applies and is also approved, you don't need to worry about communication because they do have trained individuals who are trained to provide their services for
Which
you
is
all.
a wonderful asset, and thank you very much. That takes just that initial barrier away, and just to make this a little more accessible and to have more timely installations.
Yeah, part of our job here as a state agency is to try and collaborate with different organizations. We realize that we can't do everything ourselves, and we're not effective when we try to do everything ourselves. So through powerful collaborations throughout the community, together we can do so many things.
Right. And I do want to bring that up as well. The American Red Cross doesn't just provide these types of smoke alarms in the central Missouri community. We provide them nationally. This is a national campaign. And so you don't have to reside within my central Missouri chapter to receive these. Anybody who goes to the website getasmokealarm.org is eligible to receive a smoke alarm. It does take a couple months. Just setting that precedent up front, I think, is important. But the sooner we start the process, the sooner we can ensure the preparedness and the safety of the deaf and hard of hearing community.
So on average, how long does it take?
I would say about 3 months. And so
Okay.
what we do on the back end is we come to your home and we'll install a smoke alarm. If there's already one installed, we'll check the batteries and ensure that it's working. We'll test it. And the challenge is then that we'll need essentially proof. And so we'll test it. And if you can't hear it, obviously, then we have you fill out that initial application for the bed shaker alarms. We submit that application, and then a bed shaker alarm is shipped to us, and then we'll come back and install it.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I wish it was a more expedited process. And maybe we'll get there, learning from advice and things like that from you, Dr. Obey.
Yeah, we experience that here as well with some of our programs. Normally what we do here is first we establish what is called a pilot program. That gives us the opportunity to do our research, see how things are going to be running, maybe find some bugs in the system, and then from there we announce our program.
Sure.
And we just started up a program here, and that program is to distribute hearing aids to those who are low income in Missouri. And so right now we're just starting out, we're in the pilot phase. Unfortunately, that means we can't be so quick with it. We have almost a mountain of paperwork of applications, and so we have to assure people the state takes a little bit slow,
Mhm.
but, you know,
Mhm.
hopefully our constituents understand that.
Right. I'm just thankful that the resources are there, and that also on the flip side that there are funders willing to fund these alarms to better serve our Missouri community.
Yeah, and we are very
Mhm.
thankful for that as well. We are very thankful that you all have seen the need and you're trying to help
Mhm.
satisfy that need,
Mhm.
especially as the Red Cross. We as a state agency are partnering with you to see if there's
Mhm.
anything we can do, especially if it comes to emergency preparedness meetings.
Right.
If there's anything that the deaf community is going to be involved in, we are
Mhm.
absolutely willing to have our support there as well.
Mhm.
Maybe staff could come out.
Mhm.
If there's, you know, there's not always one group of
Mhm.
people, but, you know, through collaboration, that's how we become successful.
Sure.
And so, thank you for working with us. Also,
Mhm.
one last question for you.
Sure.
I guess on a personal level,
Mhm.
have you interacted with a deaf individual in the past?
Mhm.
And if you have, what was your experience? What did you think about deaf culture and interacting
Mhm.
with someone maybe using sign language?
I have come in contact with deaf or hard of hearing individuals in the past through working with William Woods University. I worked there for just over 2 years, and of course they're home to the American Sign Language School. So I had several students actually that were employed under me working, and it was just eye-opening to see some of the challenges that they face. Also just, they have a lot to teach me anyways. Even though they were my employees and they were students at the time trying to learn from me, I feel like I learned more from those students just having that opportunity. More recently though too, in the Eldon, Missouri tornado back in May, there was an elderly woman who had other disabilities as well, but just realizing the tremendous challenge and the barriers within communication. She was so sweet and very kind to us for not being able to fully understand. But we do have a long ways to go in forms of disaster preparedness and disaster relief. And so that was, for me, an eye-opening experience. And I'm excited that the Missouri Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing is just down the street from our Jefferson City office. And I'm thrilled that I'll be able to learn from this community, but also provide a service to a very vulnerable community. In my chapter, we respond to an average of 3 to 5 home fires every week. And so this is the #1 disaster that we respond to, aside from those big tornado-like disasters. Every 88 seconds, there is a home fire in the nation. Just by installing a smoke alarm that caters to the family and helps protect the family, it can cut risk of death and injury by half. And that's extremely important, especially in those pockets like Fulton, Missouri, of folks that are deaf and hard of hearing. So being able to cater to them and being able to educate them on home fire safety, not just the installation of the alarm, but during our visits, right, we talk to you about escape plans, and we talk to you about, you know, are your children ready to respond to a fire type situation, because you're not always going to be right by them whenever these types of things happen in the home. So we're going in and we're teaching education, and we're providing folks with the tools to make their home safer. And I would imagine that, you know, we're going to be learning a lot from the folks that we're teaching as well. But just the ability to take that swift action in times of home fire, you have less than 2 minutes to get out. And I think a big portion of that is being aware of the fire that's happening too. So I do appreciate, again, Dr. Ope, you partnering with me at the American Red Cross to get these these bed shaker alarms out into the community and be ready to save some lives.
I do thank you as well, and I appreciate your time with us here today, sharing your knowledge and expertise, as well as the resources that the community can access here. And so thank you again. And your background with William Woods, I'm not sure if you know, but William Woods University is one of the top ASL interpreting programs across the country. You know, it is a very small university, but their program is very impressive. It's a very well-respected program across the nation. And fires especially, that's a very big challenge that we face every day. If you've seen California especially, the wildfire that has been spreading out there, it's a very big issue. And fortunately we don't have that happening here in Missouri, but still we need to remain vigilant in how we approach things like that. And so I'm hopeful that through community collaboration, there's more that can be done. And so thank you again for joining me for this coffee chat.
Thank you.